Cricket, the most popular sport in India, is no longer just a game. It is the latest, most lucrative battlefield for Wall Street. Now, if you're American, your first instinct is probably, cricket? Seriously? A sport most Americans couldn't explain if you handed them a rule book and gave them a long weekend. A sport with barely a handful of professional-grade stadiums on U.S. soil. A sport that still registers as background noise in a country where the NFL, NBA, and MLB dominate every sports conversation. And yet, in March 2026, some of the sharpest institutional money on earth just made the two biggest bets in cricket's financial history. David Blitzer's Bolt Ventures and Blackstone, one of the world's largest private equity firms, joined forces with the Aditya Birla Group and Times Group to buy Royal Challengers Bengaluru for $1.78 billion. Days later, a consortium led by Arizona-based tech entrepreneur Cal Samani, joined by Rob Walton, the eldest son of Walmart founder Sam Walton, and the Hamp family, who owned the NFL's Detroit Lions, took full control of Rajasthan Royals for $1.63 billion. Let's start at the beginning. Cricket arrived in India through the British. What India did with it afterward, the British never imagined. In dusty gullies in Mumbai, on makeshift pitches with tape ball equipment, generations of Indian children grew up with cricket as their first language. Not metaphorically, literally their first sporting language. Before football, before basketball, cricket was there first. And it never left. When India plays, the country stops. Shops close, traffic thins. Cricket in India is not a leisure activity. It is a shared national experience unlike anything in the Western sporting world. And then, in 2008, a cricket administrator named Lalit Modi had a vision. He looked at the NBA. He studied the Premier League. He understood that modern audiences didn't want 5-day test matches. They wanted speed, drama, a complete emotional arc. So he built the IPL. 20-over cricket, 3 explosive hours, city-based franchises, player auctions, Bollywood ownership, the full spectacle. The cricket establishment called it a gimmick, a corruption of the sport's purity. 18 years later, those critics are silent. The IPL is now the 10th most attended sports league on the planet. Not 10th in cricket, but 10th globally, across all sports, alongside the NFL and Premier League. Its total business valuation has reached $18.5 billion as of 2026. Its standalone brand value has climbed to $3.9 billion, up from $3.2 billion just the year before. The 2023 to 2027 broadcast rights cycle sold for $6.2 billion, making the IPL the second most valuable sports media property in the world on a per-match basis, behind only the NFL. Each match in the current cycle is valued at $14.61 million. The Super Bowl earns $37 million per game. No other sporting event on earth, not a Premier League match, not a Champions League final, not an NBA playoff game, comes close to the IPL's per-match broadcast value. And viewership? The IPL 2025 season was watched by over 1 billion viewers across TV and digital combined, with digital audiences surpassing television for the very first time in Indian sports history. The gimmick is now the second most valuable sports media property on the planet. To understand why American institutional capital moved so decisively into the IPL in 2026, you need to grasp one structural concept that changes the entire financial picture: the closed league model. In European football, leagues are open. Win your division, you get promoted. Lose badly, you get relegated. Thousands of clubs compete. It's democratic, exciting, and from a purely financial standpoint, terrifying. A club can lose hundreds of millions in a single season. Relegation can cut revenues by 40% overnight. Bankruptcy is not hypothetical. It happens. American sports leagues don't work that way. The NFL has 32 franchises. That number is fixed. You cannot earn your way in. You cannot lose your way out. You purchase a franchise and own a permanent, hereditary stake in a multi-billion-dollar annual revenue ecosystem. Forever. This permanent structural position is what creates the extraordinary valuations of American sports franchises. Not the wins, not the championships, but the perpetual right to participate in the revenue stream. The IPL is built on this exact model. 10 franchises. That number is locked. If you own one, you own a permanent 1/10 stake in every rupee, every dollar that flows through the IPL ecosystem annually, forever. When American investors started modeling this, 10 permanent stakes in a league growing at 30 to 40% annually in a market of 1.4 billion people with a salary cap keeping player costs controlled, the numbers became extraordinary. Consider the comparison that makes financial analysts lean forward in their chairs. Manchester United generates $700 to $800 million in annual revenue and is valued at roughly $6 to $7 billion. Leading IPL franchises generating $350 to $400 million annually were being valued at $1.6 to $1.8 billion. The revenue multiple was significantly lower, substantially underpriced relative to equivalent American sports assets. That is not a sign of weakness. That is an arbitrage opportunity. And the 2026 deals confirmed it. RCB, bought by Vijay Mallya in 2008 for $111.6 million, just sold for $1.78 billion. Rajasthan Royals, sold in 2008 for $67 million, just changed hands for $1.63 billion. Even the two newest franchises, Gujarat Titans and Lucknow Supergiants, added in 2021, sold for $670 million and $940 million respectively, values that would now look like a discount. As David Blitzer himself put it, the IPL is one of the great growth stories in global sport. He is not wrong. But the smarter observation is this. Here is where the story gets truly fascinating, and depending on your perspective, either exciting or deeply unsettling. The moment institutional investors began taking controlling stakes in major IPL franchises, the strategic question shifted completely. It stopped being, how do we win cricket matches? And became, how do we engineer maximum value from every single second of broadcast time? That question has a very specific American answer. In November 2024, Reliance Industries and Disney completed a merger of their entire Indian media operations, valued at approximately $9 billion, forming a single entity, JioStar. Disney plus Hotstar and JioCinema merged into Jio Hotstar in February 2025. The result? One entity now controls both the television and digital rights to the IPL simultaneously. Every rupee of TV advertising, digital subscription revenue, and streaming inventory flows into a single consolidated commercial structure. The IPL has moved decisively in this direction. Production quality has become cinematic. LED stumps that light up instantly on dismissal turn every runout into a theatrical event. The SpiderCam delivers smooth 5-axis footage at angles that were impossible a decade ago. AI-generated graphics overlay ball trajectory data and batting analytics in real time. Jio Hotstar now offers tiered streaming, standard access, and premium subscriptions for 4K resolution, multi-camera feeds, and exclusive commentary. This is the Netflix model applied to live sport, and it's working. During the ICC T20 World Cup final, Jio Hotstar crossed 70 million concurrent users. The advertising transformation has been equally dramatic. Fintech platforms, investment apps targeting urban, aspirational Indians, began buying premium IPL slots. real estate companies, luxury automobile brands, premium travel operators. Categories that barely advertised during IPL a decade ago. Why? Because American investors repositioned the IPL's audience in the minds of global advertisers. The pitch changed from broad Indian viewership to upper-middle-class, digital-first, high-disposable income urban professionals in India's biggest metros. Premium audience, premium rates. The result? IPL revenue growing at 30 to 40% annually, faster than the Premier League, faster than almost any established sports property in the world. American investors didn't just buy into the IPL, they rebuilt its commercial architecture from the inside. American investors didn't just buy into the IPL, they rebuilt its commercial architecture from the inside. Now, here is the layer of this story that most financial coverage completely misses, and it may ultimately be the most consequential part of the entire puzzle. American investors aren't only positioning for returns from India, they are actively building the infrastructure to make cricket a genuinely American sport, with the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics as the detonation point. Major League Cricket is now in its fourth season. The 2026 season runs from June 18th to July 18th, with a new venue, Knight Riders Cricket Field at Fairplex in Pomona, California, added to the tournament for the first time. Season 3 set records on every dimension. Ticket sales up 53% year-on-year, broadcast reach expanded to 90-plus countries, digital engagement at historic highs, and, most remarkably, 84% of ticket purchasers were first-time MLC attendees. That last number is the one that matters. This isn't the same base of Indian-American cricket fans returning season after season. New people are coming. Cricket is finding new audiences in America. And the ownership structure of MLC reveals the deliberate strategic architecture at work. Chennai Super Kings owns the Texas franchise. Kolkata Knight Riders owns the Los Angeles team. Mumbai Indians owns New York. The IPL's most powerful franchises have built direct pipelines into the American market. Then there is 2028. Cricket is returning to the Olympic Games for the first time since 1900, 128 years, and it is being held in Los Angeles. When the 2028 Olympics happen, cricket will appear in prime time on American networks during the most watched event on Earth. American athletes, developed through MLC's growing grassroots infrastructure, will compete on the Olympic stage. Hundreds of millions of Americans who have never engaged with the sport will watch it at the highest level of athletic competition. One investor, speaking to Al Jazeera, described the current moment as the beginning of an era where the IPL's value still has room to grow, with the Olympics and U.S. market expansion as the catalysts that will push franchise values toward NFL-level territory. American investors will arrive at that moment already owning franchises in both the IPL and MLC. They will have established media relationships, sponsorship infrastructure, and years of brand building behind them. Every dollar invested in 2026 is buying a structural first-mover advantage in a market that may look radically different by 2030. In the end, this isn't just a story about billions. It's a story about direction. Cricket is standing at a crossroads between global expansion and cultural preservation. The money will come, the leagues will grow, and new markets will open. But at what cost? Because beyond every deal and valuation lies the essence of the game itself. And somewhere, far from boardrooms and billionaires, cricket is still just bat, ball, and belief. What survives, business or soul, will define everything.